Life has this funny way of making us look back. We replay our mistakes, our heartbreaks, our failures as if they define who we are. But here's the truth. They don't. Your past is not a book you are trapped inside. It's just a chapter you've already finished. Reading your life backwards keeps you stuck in a loop, repeating the same doubts, the same fears, the same regrets. And let me tell you something. You cannot rewrite yesterday, but you can absolutely author tomorrow. Every scar, every no you heard every time you thought you weren't enough, it was never meant to stop you. It was meant to prepare you. What matters is not how many times you've stumbled, but how many times you've stood up, dusted yourself off and said, I'm still here. Stop asking, what if? And start asking, what now? The universe doesn't reward those who keep flipping back to old pages. It rewards those who turn the page with courage, with faith, and with the audacity to dream again. So here's my challenge to you. Starting today, let go of the old scripts that no longer serve you. Don't waste another second rereading the past when the next chapter could be the one that changes everything. Never read your life backwards. Write it forward, with bold strokes, with fearless ambition, and with the certainty that the best is yet to come. The past is a lesson, not a life sentence. We often carry it on our shoulders as if every mistake, every misstep, every wrong turn has the power to define the entire journey of who we are. But the truth is, the past was never meant to chain us down. It was meant to shape us, to teach us, to prepare us for the path ahead. Life is not a courtroom where your old choices become permanent judgments against your future. It is a classroom where every single experience, whether beautiful or painful, is a lesson that expands your understanding of who you can become. Think about how many times you've looked back and thought, if only I hadn't done that, or if only I had chosen differently. Those two words, if only, become heavy baggage that slows you down, but the past doesn't owe you an apology and it doesn't offer refunds. It gives you something much more valuable, insight. Every wrong decision is a clue, every heartbreak is a teacher, every failure is a roadmap pointing you in a new direction. When you look at it this way, your past transforms from being a punishment into being a curriculum designed uniquely for you. No person who has ever achieved greatness has done so by staying stuck in their regrets. They move forward because they know the past has already played its role. A mistake is not the end of your story. It is just a paragraph, maybe even just a sentence. Yet we are often guilty of reading that same sentence again and again, as if by reliving it, we can somehow change it. But the ink is dry. You can't erase it, but you can use the wisdom it gave you to write a better story in the next chapter. Imagine your life as a book. Would you ever sit with a finished chapter, refusing to turn the page, obsessing over each line, each word, each punctuation mark? You wouldn't. You'd be curious about what happens next. The plot, the suspense, the growth. It all lies in the upcoming pages. But when you treat your past as a life sentence, you are essentially saying, this is where my story ends, even though so many chapters are waiting to be written. The most liberating realization you can have is that your past cannot hold you unless you keep holding on to it. The chains you feel are often self-imposed. You replay the rejection, the failure, the embarrassment, not realizing that you are the one hitting the replay button. If you chose to press stop, you'd find silence, and in that silence you'd find freedom. The lesson would remain, but the suffering would not. When a child learns to walk, they fall again and again, but we don't label the child a failure. We celebrate every attempt, every stumble, every small step, because we know falling is not permanent. It's part of learning. Yet as adults, we forget this simple truth. We make one mistake and we decide we are broken. We face one failure and we conclude we are unworthy. But the child within us still knows. Every fall is just teaching you balance. Every scar is showing you resilience. Every lesson is whispering, you're stronger than this. Carrying the past as a burden distorts your vision of the future. It makes you cautious, hesitant, fearful of dreaming too big. You begin to avoid risks because you don't want to repeat old pain. But when you shift your mindset and see the past as a teacher, you realize risks are not threats, they are opportunities wrapped in uncertainty. You stop fearing the unknown because you understand that even if you fail, the lesson you gain will serve you tomorrow. That is how resilience is born, not by avoiding mistakes, but by transforming them into wisdom. Your past cannot predict your future unless you let it. Just because you've been hurt doesn't mean you'll always be hurt. Just because you've failed once doesn't mean success isn't possible. Patterns can be broken, cycles can end, new beginnings can be created at any moment you decide to no longer be defined by what happened yesterday. When you stop seeing the past as a life sentence, you step into the incredible freedom of choice. You choose how you want to respond, how you want to grow, and how you want to write your next chapter. The world is full of people who used their past as fuel instead of shackles. People who turned rejection into resilience, failure into innovation, heartbreak into strength. Their secret was never that their past was easy. It was that they refused to treat it as a prison. They saw it as training, sometimes painful, sometimes relentless, but always building something greater inside them. The truth is, life will never stop teaching you. You will keep stumbling, keep failing, keep being tested. But that's the beauty of it. You are always in motion, always evolving, always being shaped into someone wiser, bolder, and stronger. And when you stop reading your life backwards, when you stop sentencing yourself to relive the same pain, you give yourself permission to embrace the constant forward movement that life was always meant to be. Regret keeps you stuck. Courage moves you forward. Regret is like a shadow that lingers, a constant reminder of what could have been, of the choices you wish you had made differently, of the paths you wish you had taken. It whispers in your ear late at night, convincing you that you missed your chance, that you wasted your time, that you are somehow behind in life. And the more you listen to it, the heavier it becomes, until it feels like you are walking with chains wrapped around your feet. You want to move forward, but regret keeps pulling you back, dragging you into the same memories, the same doubts, the same endless cycle of what if. But the truth is, regret has no power over your future unless you allow it to. It is only a reminder of what already happened. The past is fixed. It cannot be undone. It cannot be rewritten, no matter how much you replay it in your mind. And if you keep staring at that one door that closed, you'll never notice the new doors that are opening right in front of you. Regret convinces you that your story ended the day you made that mistake. But courage tells you that your story is still being written, and the best chapters are ahead of you. Courage is not about pretending the past didn't happen. It's about looking at it straight in the face and saying, yes, I stumbled, yes, I fell, yes, I chose wrong. But that does not define who I am. Courage is the act of refusing to let yesterday's decisions dictate tomorrow's possibilities. Where regret says you can't, courage says why not. Where regret tells you to stay safe in your comfort zone, courage pushes you to step into the unknown even when your knees are shaking. Regret thrives in silence and stillness. It grows stronger when you stop moving, when you let fear keep you frozen. But courage thrives in action. Even the smallest step forward has the power to break regret's grip. Each time you choose to act, even when you're afraid, you weaken regret and strengthen courage. It could be as simple as sending that email, starting that project, applying for that opportunity, or just deciding that you are no longer going to hide behind excuses. Action is courage in motion, and action is the only cure for regret. Many people live their entire lives trapped in regret. They think about the dream they never chased, the love they never confessed, the risks they never took. And in their old age, what hurts them most is not the failures they had, but the chances they didn't take. Because failure can teach, but regret only steals. Failure gives you lessons, resilience, and experience, while regret leaves you with nothing but emptiness. This is why courage matters so much. Courage makes sure that when you look back on your life, you see a story of attempts, of effort, of moments where you dared to live fully, instead of a story full of unwritten pages. Courage is not loud, it doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is quiet. It's the decision to get out of bed on the hardest day. It's saying yes when you want to say no because you're afraid. It's raising your hand when your voice trembles. It's choosing to trust again after being betrayed. It's daring to love after heartbreak. Courage is those small choices that add up over time and build a life you're proud of. And every time you choose courage, regret loses a little more power over you. Think about the people you admire. They didn't get to where they are by avoiding mistakes or waiting for the perfect moment. They acted, often imperfectly, often afraid, but they acted anyway. They knew that progress requires movement, and movement requires courage. They turned setbacks into stepping stones, and instead of being paralyzed by regret, they allowed failure to propel them forward. They understood that courage doesn't eliminate fear, it teaches you how to move with it. Regret keeps you looking backward. Courage keeps you facing forward. Regret keeps you questioning your worth. Courage reminds you that you are worthy despite your past. Regret is rooted in fear. Fear of not being enough. Fear of missing out. Fear of trying again. Courage is rooted in faith. Faith in your ability to grow. Faith in the future. Faith that no matter how messy things get, you can figure it out along the way. Life is not about waiting for the perfect set of circumstances where fear disappears and regret dissolves. That moment will never come. Life rewards the ones who choose courage in the middle of fear, who take the leap even when they can't see the whole staircase. And the beautiful thing is, every time you choose courage, it becomes easier the next time. You start to trust yourself more. You start to believe that you can handle whatever comes your way. You build a track record with yourself that says, I don't let regret win. I move forward anyway. Regret will always try to whisper. It will remind you of every lost chance, every mistake, every wrong step. But you don't have to obey it. You can acknowledge its voice without giving it control. You can say, yes, that happened, but I am still here, I am still moving, and I am not done yet. That is courage, not the absence of regret, but the refusal to let it steer your life. Courage transforms regret into wisdom. It takes the sting of mistakes and turns them into lessons that guide you. It takes the pain of failure and turns it into resilience that strengthens you. It takes the weight of missed opportunities and turns it into motivation to seize the ones still ahead. Without courage, regret becomes a prison. With courage, regret becomes a teacher. And the choice is always yours, whether you allow regret to trap you or whether you let courage set you free. Scars are proof of survival, not weakness. Each scar tells a story, a chapter in the book of your life that speaks louder than words ever could. We often try to hide them, to cover them up, to pretend they don't exist, because somewhere along the way we were taught that scars mean imperfection, that they are flaws we should be ashamed of. But the reality is, scars are not symbols of defeat. They are evidence that you endured, that you faced something difficult and came out on the other side stronger than before. A scar means you didn't give up. It means the wound healed, even if the memory of the pain still lingers. It means you were tested by life, and instead of breaking, you bent and you survived. There is extraordinary strength in that. Think about it. Every scar on your body or in your heart is proof that you've lived, that you've experienced, that you've taken risks, that you've engaged with life instead of standing on the sidelines. Without scars, there is no evidence of growth, no reminder of battles fought and lessons learned. We live in a world that glamorizes perfection. We scroll through polished images, flawless skin, curated lives that seem untouched by hardship. But those are illusions. Behind every person you admire, behind every success story, behind every smile, there are scars. Some visible, many invisible. Some carved into the skin, others etched deep into the soul. And those scars are what give their journey depth, meaning, and authenticity. If you take away the scars, you take away the humanity, the struggle, the resilience. Scars remind you that pain is temporary, but growth is permanent. The wound may have hurt when it first happened. It may have left you broken for a while, but with time it healed and transformed into strength. That strength doesn't always look glamorous. Sometimes it looks messy. Sometimes it feels heavy, but it's there. And it is yours. Every scar is a reminder that healing is possible, even when you thought it wasn't. That alone is powerful beyond measure. Some scars are physical, left behind by accidents, surgeries, or injuries. They remind you that your body fought, your body survived. Others are emotional: heartbreak, betrayal, rejection, loss. These scars may not be visible to the world, but they are felt deeply. And yet they carry the same truth. You lived through it. You carried yourself through nights you thought you couldn't, and you emerged different, wiser, stronger. Emotional scars build resilience in ways that nothing else can. They make you empathetic, compassionate, and capable of understanding others in their pain. What scars teach us is that vulnerability and strength are not opposites. They coexist. Being scarred means you were vulnerable enough to experience life, to love, to take risks, to fall, to hurt. And surviving means you found strength you didn't even know you had. Your scars are living proof that you are both fragile and powerful at the same time, and that is the essence of being human. Too often we hide our scars because we think they make us less. But what if instead of hiding them, we embraced them as badges of honor? What if we wore them as symbols of courage, proof that we endured storms that others might not even know about? There is beauty in scars, a beauty that comes not from flawlessness, but from authenticity. They are reminders that you have depth, that your story is layered, that you carry within you experiences that shaped who you are today. Scars also connect us to one another. When you share your scars, when you open up about the things that hurt you, you give others permission to do the same. You create space for healing, for empathy, for human connection. People don't bond over perfection. They bond over scars. They bond over shared struggles, over stories of survival, over the reassurance that they are not alone in their battles. When you show your scars, you show your humanity, and that is what inspires others to keep going. The greatest stories of resilience are written on scarred pages. Every leader, every innovator, every person who has achieved something meaningful carries scars. Failures, rejections, disappointments. What sets them apart is not the absence of scars, but their refusal to see scars as weakness. They wear them as proof that they tried, that they dared, that they faced challenges and kept moving forward. Without scars, there is no resilience. Without scars, there is no triumph. Scars are also reminders of transformation. The wound you once thought would destroy you became the very thing that rebuilt you. The heartbreak you thought would crush you became the reason you learned self-love. The rejection you thought defined you became the push that led you towards something better. The failure you thought ended your journey became the foundation of your comeback. Every scar carries within it a lesson, a transformation that made you into someone more capable, more courageous, more alive. They also remind us of the passage of time. A scar is not just a mark, it's evidence that healing has already happened. It tells you that what once hurt so deeply no longer has the power to wound you in the same way. The pain faded, but the mark remained as a quiet reminder of your resilience. It's like a map of your survival, a roadmap showing where you've been and how far you've come. Sometimes the scars we carry are the very things that give us strength to face the future. When you look back and see how much you've endured, it fuels you with confidence that you can survive whatever comes next. Your scars whisper, you've been through worse and you're still standing. They remind you that storms end, that pain passes, that healing happens even when you doubt it will. And with each new scar, you become not weaker, but stronger, not smaller, but braver. So instead of seeing scars as ugly reminders of pain, see them as beautiful testaments of life. Each one proves that you had the courage to face what many might run from. Each one proves that you endured hardship and kept going. Each one proves that survival lives in you, strength lives in you, resilience lives in you. Your scars are not there to bring you shame. They are there to remind you that you are still here, and that is something extraordinary. Stop asking what if, start asking what now. The words what if are some of the heaviest words in the human mind. They hold you hostage to the past, to possibilities that never happened, to chances you feel you lost, to paths you never walked. You replay conversations that ended long ago, decisions you can no longer change, moments you wish you could relive. And each time you whisper what if, you breathe life into regrets that should have been buried. What if is a question that keeps your eyes fixed backward, as though staring at closed doors could somehow open them again. But those doors are shut, the moments are gone, and the only thing what if accomplishes is robbing you of your present. The human mind is powerful at creating alternate realities, entire stories about how life would look if only you had chosen differently. Maybe you think about the job you didn't take, the risk you avoided, the person you didn't confess your feelings to, the opportunity you let slip away. You tell yourself that if you had acted differently, life would be easier, brighter, more complete. But the truth is, those imagined realities are illusions. You can never know how things might have unfolded. Even the choices you regret could have brought pain. Even the roads you didn't take could have led to heartbreak. Living in what if is like chasing shadows. You keep running but never arrive anywhere real. What now is different. What now is a question of action, of movement, of power. It doesn't dwell on yesterday. It looks squarely at today. When you ask what now, you take control back from regret and put it into the present moment. You stop treating life as something that slipped through your fingers and start treating it as something still waiting to be shaped. Because no matter what happened yesterday, you still have this moment. And this moment is enough to begin again. What if paralyzes, what now mobilizes? What if chains you to fear, what now releases you into possibility? What if is a passive cry, but what now is an active choice? Every person who ever turned their life around did it by asking what now. They didn't waste time reliving their regrets. They faced them, accepted them, and then redirected their energy into the next step. They knew the past cannot be changed, but the future can always be influenced, and that shift, from rumination to action, is the difference between a life wasted in regret and a life lived in purpose. When you ask what now, you embrace responsibility. You stop blaming your circumstances, your upbringing, your missed opportunities, your mistakes. You stop telling the story of how life happened to you, and you start writing the story of how you will respond. What now doesn't care about excuses. It doesn't wait for perfect timing. It demands action even when you're scared, even when you're unsure, even when you feel unprepared. Because the truth is, you will never feel fully ready, but readiness is not required, movement is. Life has a way of rewarding those who take the what now approach. The person who decides to rebuild after failure, who decides to try again after rejection, who decides to stand up after being knocked down. Those are the people who create breakthroughs. They refuse to let their story end with a setback. They use what now as a bridge from pain to possibility. And every time they cross that bridge, they prove to themselves that they are not defined by what happened, but by what they choose next. Asking what now also teaches you to live in the present. It shifts your attention from dreams of what could have been to the reality of what is in front of you. The present moment holds more power than any imaginary past scenario. You cannot go back and change the missed opportunity, but you can create new ones. You cannot undo the failure, but you can use its lessons to succeed differently. You cannot rewrite yesterday, but you can absolutely write today. That's what now makes possible, the conscious choice to shape the next step rather than mourn the last one. It's not easy to let go of what if. The mind loves to wander back into regrets because it feels safe to analyze the past. But courage is found in facing forward. It takes strength to stop rehearsing the same scenes and instead step onto a stage that hasn't been written yet. It requires you to accept that some doors are closed forever and to trust that better doors will open if you move toward them. This is why what now is so powerful. It teaches you to trust the unfolding of your journey, to see the next step as more important than the missed step. Think about the times in your life when you were stuck in what if. Maybe you thought, what if I had started earlier? What if I had spoken up? What if I had risked more? Now ask yourself, did those questions ever move you forward? Did they ever create change? Or did they keep you trapped in circles of regret, analyzing instead of acting? Now imagine replacing them with what now? What now pushes you to take the leap today, to speak today, to risk today, to begin today? And that simple change in perspective creates a ripple effect that transforms everything. Life is not about the alternate realities your mind can create. It is about the tangible reality you can influence right now. What now is the gateway to growth, to opportunities to change. It keeps you grounded in the present while moving you toward the future. It reminds you that while the past cannot be touched, the next step is always within reach. And sometimes, the most powerful transformation in your life begins not with a grand plan, but with the simple, bold question, what now? The best chapters of your life are still unwritten. It doesn't matter how many times you've stumbled, how many mistakes you've made, or how many disappointments you've carried with you. What matters is that your story isn't over yet. Every day you wake up, every breath you take, is proof that the pen is still in your hand, and the pages ahead are blank, waiting for you to create something new. Too often, people believe that the best of their life is already behind them, that the golden days are gone, that they've missed their chance to shine. But that belief is nothing more than a lie that regret and fear whisper to keep you from stepping forward. The truth is, life keeps giving you fresh pages, and what you choose to write on them will always matter more than what has already been written. Your past may have shaped you, but it does not own you. It may explain where you are, but it does not dictate where you can go. If you treat your story as if it ended yesterday, you rob yourself of the magic that could happen tomorrow. Think of the great novels, the epic movies, the unforgettable stories. What makes them powerful is not how they began, but how they unfolded. The characters faced struggles, they fell, they failed, but the beauty of the story came from how they rose, how they discovered strength they didn't know they had, how they turned pain into triumph. Your life is no different. The early chapters are just the setup. The most powerful moments are still waiting in the unwritten ones. It's easy to get stuck rereading the same old chapters of your life. Maybe you go back to the pain of your childhood, the betrayal of a friend, the failure of a dream, the heartbreak that shattered you. You replay them line by line, as though memorizing those pages will somehow give them new meaning. But you already know those pages by heart. They will not change. What can change is what comes after them, if only you have the courage to turn the page. There is no story worth telling that ends in the middle of its journey. There is no story that becomes legendary by dwelling endlessly on what has already happened. The power lies in the continuation, in the courage to create the unknown. Every new day is an invitation to write differently. Maybe yesterday's pages were filled with doubt, fear, or hesitation, but today's page can hold boldness, faith, and action. The beauty of unwritten chapters is that they are not bound by yesterday's tone. You can shift the narrative, change the plot, introduce a new dream, a new goal, a new version of yourself. You don't need permission to begin again. You don't need to erase the past to create a better future. The unwritten chapters are waiting for you to pick up the pen and start shaping them with intention. Some of the most extraordinary lives are built later than expected. There are countless stories of people who bloomed late, who wrote their most powerful chapters when others thought their story was already finished. Success does not follow a schedule. Purpose does not expire with age. Dreams do not wither unless you abandon them. The belief that it's too late is the very thing that makes people stop trying. But as long as you are here, as long as you are breathing, the pages are blank and waiting. Some of your greatest victories, your most beautiful experiences, your proudest moments may still be ahead of you. Unwritten chapters are not promises, though. They are opportunities. They will not write themselves. You must step into them with courage, with determination, with a willingness to leave behind what no longer serves you. If you cling too tightly to old chapters, you'll never have space for new ones. That's why letting go is so important. Letting go of bitterness, of fear, of self-doubt, letting go of the need to have everything figured out, letting go of the story you thought you had to live in order to embrace the one you were meant to create. Think about the feeling of opening a brand new notebook or a fresh journal. The pages are crisp, untouched, full of possibility. That's what your future is like right now. You have the freedom to decide what goes on those pages. Will it be a story of hesitation, of clinging to what has already been, of never daring to dream again? Or will it be a story of reinvention, of resilience, of stepping boldly into the unknown with faith that the best is still to come? The truth is, the greatest chapters of life are often the ones we never planned. The surprises, the detours, the unexpected opportunities, they are the twists that make the story unforgettable. When you allow yourself to believe that the unwritten chapters could hold something extraordinary, you open yourself up to possibilities you could not have imagined. You allow life to astonish you. You give yourself permission to evolve, to grow, to become someone even stronger, wiser, and braver than you are now. The past chapters are useful because they taught you lessons, but the unwritten chapters are powerful because they give you choices. You can choose how to respond, how to act, how to show up. You can choose whether to stay stuck in old patterns or to break free. You can choose whether to keep your dreams buried or to bring them to life. Those choices will define your story far more than anything that has already been written. When you look back at your scars, your struggles, your regrets, remind yourself that they are not the conclusion. They are the prologue to something greater. They are the foundation upon which you can build something extraordinary. Every tear, every failure, every loss can become the raw material for a powerful new chapter, one that inspires not only you but everyone who witnesses your journey. The unwritten chapters are not blank because your story is empty. They are blank because your story is still unfolding, and that is a gift. Your story matters. Your next steps matter. Your unwritten chapters are waiting for you to step forward with courage and claim them. Life is not done with you yet. The best is not behind you. The best is ahead, waiting in the unwritten lines, in the choices you will make, in the dreams you will dare to chase, in the strength you will continue to uncover. The pen is in your hands and the pages are still blank.